A silent unfolding of the self towards something greater, toward purpose, mastery, and truth. The tree does not envy the river, nor does the sun compare itself to the moon. Each moves in accordance with its own nature, fulfilling its role in the grand design. Yet how often do we abandon our path, measuring our steps against another's, forgetting that the stars shine not in competition, but in harmony. The winds of life whisper not of rivals, but of refinement. Every challenge is not an obstacle, but a sculptor's chisel, shaping you into who you were always meant to be. The silence you fear is not emptiness. It is the space where destiny speaks. So listen, align, become. For in the stillness of self-mastery, you will hear the music of existence and realize you were never out of step. Imagine a sculptor standing before a raw block of marble. He does not look at another artist's work and wonder why his marble does not yet resemble theirs. He does not measure his progress against someone else's masterpiece. No, he simply picks up his chisel and begins. He trusts the process, knowing that within this rough stone lies a form that is his to reveal, his alone. But what do? We take our eyes off our own block of marble and stare at someone else's. We compare, we doubt, we hesitate, we question if our journey is enough, if our progress is fast enough, if we are measuring up. And in doing so, we abandon the very work that was meant to shape us. Comparison is the thief of focus. It is the silent force that steals your attention and scatters your energy, pulling you away from your own divine assignment. Because the moment you start measuring your path against someone else's, you stop moving forward on your own. And what happens when you stop moving? You stagnate, you hesitate, you lose momentum. But let's go deeper. Why do we compare in the first place? Why do we feel the need to look left and right instead of straight ahead? It's because we have been conditioned to believe that success is a race, that there's a limited amount of it, and if someone else is winning, then somehow we must be losing. But life is not a race. It is a journey, a deeply personal, divinely orchestrated unfolding. Look at nature. The oak tree does not rush to grow as fast as the bamboo. The river does not compete with the ocean. Each moves according to its design, at its own pace, with no need for comparison. And yet here we are, constantly measuring our progress against timelines that were never meant for us. The truth is, your journey is your own. And when you focus on what someone else is doing, how much they've achieved, how far ahead they seem, you are diverting energy away from the only place it can truly create impact, yourself. Success does not come from external validation. It does not come from watching someone else's progress and trying to match it. It comes from focus, laser sharp, unshakable focus on your own path, your own purpose, your own process. But let me tell you something, this is not easy because the world will always try to pull your attention outward. Social media will flood you with highlight reels. People around you will have opinions about where you should be, what you should be doing, how far you should have come by now. But their opinions do not determine your destiny. You see, there is a design to your life. There is a rhythm, a timing, a divine orchestration that is unfolding exactly as it should. And when you trust that, when you truly trust that, you stop looking around, you stop questioning, you stop doubting. Instead, you tune in, you commit, you put your hands on your own work, your own mission, and you pour yourself into it without hesitation. Because here's the truth. The only person you are ever in competition with is the version of yourself from yesterday. That's it. And if you are growing, if you are learning, if you are becoming, then you are winning. So stop measuring yourself against someone else's timeline. Stop questioning if you are enough, if you are on track, if you are keeping up. You are not here to keep up. You are here to break through. You are here to become exactly who you were created to be in exactly the way you were designed to become it. And when you embrace that, when you own that, when you finally silence the noise of comparison and listen to the call on your own life, you will step into a power greater than anything you have ever known. Because the sculptor does not chase another man's vision, he simply chips away day by day, trusting that the masterpiece was within him all along. Think about an orchestra. Before the first note is played, before the symphony begins, there is a moment when every musician tunes their instrument. The violinist tightens the strings, the flutist adjusts the embouchure, the pianist strikes a key and listens, fine-tuning the harmony within, because no matter how skilled they are, If they are not in tune, the music will be off. It won't matter how fast they play, how much effort they exert, or how impressive they try to be, the sound will be chaotic. Now let me ask you something. How often do you step onto the stage of life out of tune? How often do you try to move forward while your mind, your spirit, your focus are all out of alignment? You chase, you grind, you push, but something feels off. You don't feel connected to the work you're doing, to the steps you're taking, and you wonder why success feels like an uphill battle, why progress feels like pushing against the wind. It's because mastery, true mastery, doesn't start with movement. It starts with alignment. See, most people believe success is about working harder, moving faster, doing more, but success doesn't come from speed, it comes from precision. It comes from making sure that what you think, what you say, and what you do are all in sync. That's when life moves smoothly, when doors start opening, when opportunities show up seemingly out of nowhere. It's not magic, it's alignment. But let me be clear, alignment is not about comfort. It is not about waiting for the perfect moment or feeling good all the time. No, alignment is about commitment. It's about being so locked in, so focused on what you are called to do that you refuse to be distracted by noise, by fear, by anything that pulls you away from your purpose. And let's talk about distractions for a second, because distractions don't always come in the form of negativity. Sometimes distractions look like good opportunities that aren't meant for you. Sometimes they look like applause, validation, people telling you to go one way when your spirit knows you're meant to go another. But when you are in tune with yourself, when you are in tune with your purpose, you don't move for applause. You don't chase validation. You move because you know the sound you were created to make. Now, let's go even deeper, because alignment is not just about avoiding distractions. It's also about what you allow into your mind, your heart, your spirit. See, some people are trying to create a masterpiece with an instrument they've never tuned. They're feeding themselves negativity, filling their minds with doubt, surrounding themselves with people who don't believe in them, and then wondering why success feels so far away. You cannot create a powerful life with weak input. You cannot produce a sound of greatness if all you feed yourself is noise. So what does this mean? It means you have to be intentional about your thoughts, your words, your energy. You have to guard your focus like a musician guards their most valuable instrument. Because every time you allow negativity to take root, every time you let doubt creep in, you are pulling yourself out of tune, and an out of tune instrument cannot create harmony. But when you take control of your focus, when you align your mind, your heart, and your actions with your highest purpose, everything changes. You stop chasing and you start attracting. You stop struggling and you start flowing. Life stops feeling like resistance and starts feeling like rhythm. Because just like an orchestra, your success, your mastery, your impact, it all begins with being in tune. And once you are, the music you create will not just be heard, it will be felt. It will move people. It will shift atmospheres. It will change lives. And it will start with you. Picture a sculptor standing before a rough block of marble. Every strike of the chisel sends fragments flying. Every cut, every groove, every imperfection being carved away reveals something greater within. Now, if that marble had feelings, it might resist. It might say, why is this happening to me? Why am I being struck? Why am I losing pieces of myself? But the sculptor sees the finished masterpiece long before it is revealed. He knows that every strike, every moment of pressure is necessary to bring out what was always there. Now, let me ask you, how often do you resist the very process designed to shape you? How often do you see difficulty as an attack instead of an instrument? How often do you see difficulty as an attack instead of an instrument? Because the truth is, the challenges you face are not here to break you, they are here to build you. See, most people think success is about avoiding pain, sidestepping hardship, finding the easiest route to the top. But real success, true, lasting, undeniable success is born in adversity, it is shaped in struggle, it is refined in fire. Look at nature. The strongest trees are the ones that have endured the harshest wind. The sharpest swords are the ones that have been through the hottest flames. And the most powerful people, they are the ones who have walked through the deepest valleys and refused to stop. The problem is most people don't want the process, they want the product. They want the strength without the struggle, the growth without the grind, the elevation without the effort. But that's not how life works. You don't get the masterpiece without the chiseling. You don't get the refinement without the fire. And if you run from the process, you forfeit the power. Because every challenge you've ever faced, every moment of hardship, every season of struggle, it wasn't just something you went through, it was something you grew through. And whether you realize it or not, it was shaping you, preparing you, carving away the parts of you that could not carry the weight of the destiny ahead. So the question is not, why is this happening to me? The question is, what is this making of me? Because life is not just about what you achieve, it's about who you become. And who you are becoming is always being shaped by what you are willing to endure. Now I know what some of you are thinking, but you don't know my situation. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know how hard it's been. And you're right, I don't. But I do know this. If you're still here, if you're still breathing, if there is still a pulse in your body, then there is still a purpose for your life. And that means every trial, every setback, every challenge, it was not sent to destroy you, it was sent to develop you. See, the mistake most people make is thinking that struggle is a sign they're on the wrong path. But sometimes, struggle is the confirmation that you're exactly where you need to be. Sometimes the pressure is proof that you're being positioned for something greater. Because the greatest versions of ourselves are not revealed in times of ease, they are revealed in moments of fire. So instead of running from resistance, embrace it. Instead of fearing the struggle, lean into it. Instead of asking, when will this be over, ask, what am I supposed to learn? Because the sculptor is not trying to destroy the marble, he is revealing the masterpiece. And in the same way, life is not working against you, it is working for you. So let the process shape you. Let the fire refine you. Let the challenges carve away everything that is not part of your greatness. Because when you do, you won't just survive the fire, you will emerge from it unstoppable. Silence. Most people fear it. They run from it, fill it with noise, drown it out with distractions. But silence is not the absence of something, it is the presence of something greater. It is the space where wisdom speaks. It is the gap between the notes in the grand symphony of life. Without it, there is no rhythm, no clarity, no direction. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how the most profound moments in life don't come in the middle of the noise, but in the quiet that follows, the breakthrough idea that comes when you finally step away from the chaos, the deep realization that rises to the surface when the world around you slows down, the answer you've been searching for, not found in frantic movement, but in stillness. But here's the problem. We live in a world addicted to noise. We are constantly bombarded, notifications, opinions, expectations, comparisons, and in all that external chatter, we lose touch with the one voice that matters most, the one inside. See, silence is not emptiness. It is not loneliness. It is not stagnation. It is not silence is space. Space for reflection, for revelation, for recalibration. And yet so many people avoid it because they mistake stillness for inaction. They think if they're not moving, they're not progressing. But the truth is, some of the greatest progress happens in the moments of pause. Look at nature. The river does not rush constantly. It carves out the land over time. The trees do not grow overnight. They expand in seasons of stillness. And the stars, they do not struggle to shine. They simply exist in the vast quiet of the universe, radiating brilliance without noise. And yet, here we are, racing, striving, chasing, never stopping long enough to ask ourselves, am I moving in the right direction? Because speed means nothing if you're running toward the wrong destination. That's why stillness is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is where you tune in, where you hear the voice of wisdom, where you realign yourself with the purpose that has been whispering to you all along. But let me tell you something. Learning to embrace silence is not easy, because in the quiet, you will be confronted. You will come face to face with your doubts, your fears, your insecurities, and that's why most people avoid it. They don't want to hear what the silence has to say. They don't want to sit with the truth of where they really are. But let me ask you, how can you ever become who you were created to be if you won't stop long enough to listen? How can you master anything if you are too distracted to even hear your own thoughts? See, success is not just about action, it is about alignment. And alignment is not found in the noise, it is found in the stillness. That's why the greatest leaders, the greatest creators, the greatest masters of any craft are not just people of action. They are people of reflection. They know when to move, but they also know when to be still, Because silence is where you sharpen your vision. It is where you refine your thoughts. It is where you gain the clarity to move forward with power instead of blindly chasing what was never meant for you. So if you feel like life is chaotic, if you feel like you're running but not getting anywhere, if you feel like something is off, pause, take a step back, be still, because when you learn to embrace silence, you don't just hear life differently, you start to see it differently. And when you finally learn to listen, you'll realize the answers you were searching for were never missing. They were simply waiting for you to be quiet enough to hear them. There's a moment in every person's life when they look around and wonder, why am I not further along? Why haven't I achieved what I set out to do? Why does it feel like something or someone is holding me back? And in that moment, it is tempting, almost automatic, to look for something outside of ourselves to blame. We blame the economy. We blame our past. We blame the people who doubted us, the circumstances that limited us, the unfair breaks we didn't get. We blame time, telling ourselves we're too late or too early. And in doing so, we give away the one thing that determines our destiny, responsibility. Because the truth is, the moment you place the power of your progress in someone else's hands, you have already lost. The moment you tell yourself that your success depends on anything outside of you, you have handed over control. But real power, real mastery begins when you take radical responsibility for your life. Now let's be clear, responsibility is not blame. This is not about shaming yourself for what you didn't do, for the mistakes you've made, or for the obstacles you've faced. No, responsibility is power. It is the realization that no matter where you are right now, no matter what has happened, no matter what odds have been stacked against you, your future is still in your hands. See, most people don't want responsibility because responsibility means ownership. It means if your finances aren't where they should be, it's not the economy, it's you. If your relationships are struggling, it's not just about what other people did, it's about how you've shown up. You're not where you want to be in life. It's not because the world is against you. It's because you have not yet aligned yourself with the habits, mindset, and discipline that will take you there. And that truth, it's hard to accept. Because if success is someone else's fault, then failure is someone else's fault too. But if success is up to you, then so is the responsibility to create it. The most successful people in the world have one thing in common. They don't make excuses. They don't wait for permission. They don't spend their energy blaming, complaining, or resenting. They take full, unshakable responsibility for their growth, their actions, their results. They understand that no one is coming to save them, and they don't need anyone to. And that's the shift. That's the moment everything changes. When you realize that every single thing you want is still possible, not because the world will hand it to you, but because you have the power to go and get it. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but you don't understand my situation. Maybe you've been wronged. Maybe you've faced unfair setbacks. Maybe life has dealt you a hand that feels impossible to play. And I hear you. I do. But let me tell you something. There are people who have come from worse and still found a way, not because it was easy, but because they decided that their circumstances would not be their ceiling. You have that same power, but you have to decide. Will you spend your energy explaining why you can't, or will you use that energy proving that you can? Will you keep waiting for things to change, or will you be the one who changes? Because here's the truth. The moment you take full responsibility for your life, everything shifts. Doors that seemed locked will begin to open. Solutions you couldn't see before will suddenly become clear, not because the world changed, but because you did. And when you finally step into that level of power, you won't just change your circumstances, you will change who you are. And that is the real secret to success, because the person who owns their life owns their future. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean. The waves are rolling in, one after another, each one carrying the memory of where it's been and the power of where it's going. You stand there, feeling the pull of the tide, the rhythm of something greater than yourself. And in that moment, you realize something. The ocean never questions its movement. It doesn't hesitate. It doesn't ask permission. It just flows. And yet so many of us stand still, waiting for the right moment, waiting for validation, waiting until we feel ready. But let me tell you something. Waiting is the enemy of destiny, because life does not wait. It moves, it unfolds, it calls. And those who hesitate, those who second guess themselves, those who keep waiting for the perfect set of circumstances. They wake up one